You have a great and widely used quote. Audio is one of the most powerful tools in a marketer's toolbox. It reaches locally, builds trust, and drives performance.
People see and feel the connections that they have with their podcast host or their radio talent deeply. That trust, it's a way advertisers and brands can deeply connect with fans.
You know, so many podcasts have moved to YouTube. Where do you think audio and podcasts in general are going?
I think about the way that I consume media today, and it's totally different than it was even 2 years ago. I walked into my son's room, he's 17. He had his homework in front of him. He was watching something on his phone. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm listening to a podcast." Didn't say I'm watching a podcast. We're listening wherever, we're watching wherever, we're consuming content in the ways that are convenient for us in the moment. And I think that that's really exciting. It's an interesting time. All of the things that are happening so quickly, some of the things that we face and that other brands in the room were facing, we're all in the same place. There's a lot of optimism, but even more than that, there's an opportunity for us to come together as brands, marketers, CMOs, and help define where we're going as an industry.
Well, Jenny, welcome to the CMO Podcast.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
I am super looking forward to this. You're one of the world's experts in audio and podcasts.
You are. I'm really glad to be here. So thanks.
Well, I want you to give us advice on how to make this episode extra special from all your knowledge on what makes for great shows.
I think that it's all about just having a great conversation.
Okay. And a great guest.
And a great host.
Thank you. So what about this show? I mean, what's your advice on helping us make the show ever better for our audience? And, you know, it's a broad audience, but obviously it's a lot of marketers, a lot of CMOs, a lot of aspiring CMOs. So what's your advice on making the show better and better? We're always looking to improve.
I think that one of the things that's been really interesting about being here at the ANAs, and I was sitting in on the CMO summit the last couple of days, and there really seems to be a need to understand the B2B, B2C connection.
Yeah.
And so many conversations with my peers, I attended the B2B breakout group, and we all got in conversations about how it's not just B2B or B2C anymore. It's about how do you connect them so that your brand is really talking to everybody in the same authentic way. And I think that the more that we can sort of bridge the gap between our consumer efforts and our business to business efforts, I think that it's like cracking a code.
Yeah, it's the same brand, right?
Yeah, right.
Has to have the same voice.
Exactly. You know, we're in this, at Odyssey, we're in a really interesting situation because we've got a business-to-business brand, which is the Odyssey umbrella. But we have some of the most iconic local brands, whether it be, 1010 Wins, or I live in San Francisco, so Alice, K-Rock.
Yeah.
And then we have these amazing podcasts. And they all have their own brand identities. And we're really working to understand how to use that Odyssey name, but also promote the individual brands because they are iconic in the communities that they serve.
Same challenge Unilever has, Procter & Gamble has.
Without a
how to use
doubt.
the corporate brand and individual brands.
NFL,
Yeah,
right? Nobody's wearing an NFL t-shirt,
right.
but you're walking around in your 49ers t-shirt.
Yeah, very good. So let's stay with this for a minute. I mean, what do you think are the characteristics of shows that break through? I know we said good host, good guest, but what else?
I mean, I think that the best content out there right now is all about authentic storytelling. And I think whether it's your morning radio show that you're listening to on the drive to work, or the podcast that you're listening to when you're working out, or what you're listening to on your smart speaker when you're cooking dinner, we're captivated by storytelling and really feeling like you want to learn more about the story, that you want that authentic human connection. And I think that that's what really breaks through today. I mean, I think it's what's always broken through.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite shows?
So right now, and I'm really excited because we're going to have them on stage tonight, but I've been listening to the Moth.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to sit down with some of the storytellers last night. They actually call them the tellers, with the tellers last night. And I'm so excited to like have them bring their stories to life. I haven't heard any of them. I tried to sit in yesterday on the rehearsal and they were like, you can't. So I sat outside. But that sort of storytelling is amazing because it's real, it's human. It's about, sometimes there's a message in it. Sometimes it's just great stories that make you think, that make you cry, that make you laugh. And the Moth is one that I like. I can't stop listening.
For our listeners who don't know it, it's a different model, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Say more about it.
So the Moth is storytellers that perform all over the country. Some of those, and at live events, you generally have 3 people and a host who sort of weaves the story through. And there's a podcast version that we have the opportunity to tie partners into. But it's just amazing stories told by real people.
Yeah. So it's tonight. Super.
Tonight
Yeah.
on stage, we're going to have them.
Going.
We're going to have them on. So it's going to be amazing.
So for the people out there who are working in brand building and marketing, are there any shows that you recommend, that you like, that you find helpful in your daily work?
That's a great question. I think, as I think about what I'm listening to, reading, watching, I think that, some of the most important voices, I think, are my peers. And yesterday, I was in the CMO Council and had an opportunity to sit down with a group and just brainstorm around ideas. And they had us do an icebreaker. And the icebreaker was, what are the brands that are inspiring you today from a B2B perspective? Yeah. And it was really interesting. People said IBM, they said Adobe, HubSpot, all of these different brands. And I think that thought leadership that those brands are sending to me on a daily basis is really like some of the most powerful stuff, because it's case studies about what our peers are doing that are driving success.
Yeah. I've been listening to Acquired, which, has been around a while, but it's just such a different show. It's so long. But now I look forward to I have a 4-hour flight.
Right.
Or I'm driving 8 hours.
Right.
And this will just make the time fly.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I think that I have 3 kids and they tend to do things a little bit more snackable, right? Like 10, 15 minutes in and out. And I think that I fly a lot. And so same, I like listening to the longer content because I feel like it gets deeper.
Yeah. And the time goes fast.
Yeah.
So where do you think this whole media is going? I mean, you would know better than most. So many podcasts have moved to YouTube. So where do you think audio and podcasts in general are going?
Has always evolved, right? Like the way that we're what we're doing at Odyssey is really looking at how can we get our content in all the ways that people are consuming it. And I think about the way that I consume media today, and it's totally different than it was even 2 years ago. I look at the way that my kids consume, and I walked into my son's room, he's 17, and he was playing a video game. He had his homework in front of him, and he was watching something on his phone. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm listening to a podcast." Didn't say I'm watching a podcast. He said, "I'm listening to a podcast." And that's really telling about where we're going as fans. We're listening wherever, we're watching wherever, we're consuming content in the ways that are convenient for us in the moment. And I think that that's really exciting. I mean, when I walked in, you asked me if I've ever recorded a podcast like this. And I've been on podcasts, but I've never been on a video podcast. And that's just the way that the media ecosphere is evolving is so fast and it's so exciting. And I think it's going to continue to evolve and, be revolutionary in the way that people are consuming media.
What won't change is the stories.
The stories,
the connection
that you have, the connection that we say audience, but it's really about fans, right? Yeah. It's connecting fans to content that they love and desire and want more of. And that's really special.
Now, you have a great and widely used quote, and I'm going to read it. Audio is one of the most powerful tools in a marketer's toolbox. It reaches locally, builds trust, and drives performance. So say more about that.
Well, I mean, I think that people see and feel the connections that they have with their podcast host or their radio talent deeply. Um, and I think, you talk about water cooler talk or, um, I remember driving to school and listening to the radio with my mom and my sister, and the radio show host in the morning in Los Angeles would be talking about something, and then we'd chat about it. And then you'd talk about it later in the day, and you felt like you were part of the conversation. And I think that trust permeates to brands, and it's a way that advertisers and brands can deeply connect with fans.
So we talked a minute about the great question, what brands do you admire? Which ones are inspiring? It was an icebreaker at the ANA here yesterday. When you think about audio, which brands do you think, or categories, you think really get it, or doing interesting things, take advantage of the potential
Such a great
of
question. And, I think that audio creative has the ability to be so powerful because it's, using the imagination, you're able to really tell stories. When I think about some of the brands that use audio really well, Coca-Cola had a radio ad that I remember from when I was a kid, and it was the sound of the can opening.
Yeah.
And it was like, and then you heard it and you heard it being poured over ice, and it brought, like, you could see in your mind what was happening. And I think that sort of using sound to create imagery is really, really valuable.
When I was a brand manager, this goes way back, but I was thinking about this in preparing for the show. There was a company called Local Marketing Corporation, and Gray eventually bought it. But it was an entrepreneur in Cincinnati, actually, and that's where I was based, since P&G was based there. And I was brand manager of Jif Peanut Butter. And they had a proposition where they said, tell us your strategy, your business and marketing challenge and strategy, and we will go around to radio stations around the country and share that with them, get their ideas about a creative activation, and we'll figure out the compensation.
Right.
So I thought, what a nice idea. So we hired them. I gave them what we're trying to do, and they went out to, I don't know, maybe 40 radio stations, and they did the craziest, most fun, most engaging things, and our business grew.
Right.
And that was probably 35 years ago.
Because it fit the audience, right?
Yeah.
Because they were doing things that were staying true to the fans.
Yeah.
And, but I also think about...
And it was fun, and it leveraged the creativity of the radio station staff.
Without a doubt. And I think the other, you think about podcasting and host-read podcast ads, and we're Odyssey's putting out yesterday. We do this twice a year. We put out the state of audio, and we talk about measurement or trends. This one is all about creators. So, and we talk to a whole bunch of creators, both the multi-platform creators. And one of the things that they said is, what are best practices that advertisers, brands should put in place when working with you? And the number one thing that came back is, let us do our thing. Like, let us tell the story. Don't give me a script. Give me bullet points so that I can tell the story in my way, because it's going to connect more than anything else. And I think that I feel like that when I listen to podcast ads, when I listen to radio ads, when I listen to endorsements, when I listen to audio in general, you can tell when the creator is connected to the brand.
What else did you learn in that report that you just released?
There's a lot. And I think, we focus on a lot of different things, but I think that it's all about authenticity. It's about reaching consumers where they are with voices that are brand fit. And I think that that's really important. The best brand and fan connection is when you've got a brand that is really tied to the content. And I think that makes a difference when when they're like-minded, and that they're, whether it be a new up and coming creator or somebody with a huge presence on social media in the audio world, there's a lot of voices out there that can represent brands in really authentic and real ways.
I teach a program at Cannes every year with CMOs. We have a class of about 60 aspiring CMOs or CMOs. We brought YouTube and creators into the classroom last year. It was the best. It was the best session.
What did you learn?
everything you're saying, I mean, it's really about just talk to them about what you're trying to do.
Right.
Ensure that they have conviction and they're interested in it, and then let them go.
So, we're working on a campaign around a movie release, and we sent out to the talent that's participating in this a sneak peek. And I'm on this email chain, and this morning when I was checking the email, to hear the feedback of all of the talent, the creators who are now going to be creating their ads out of this, they felt like they were really special because they saw something that nobody else has seen yet. And involving them in the process makes a huge difference in the way that it translates to results, I think, for the client.
Yeah. The other thing I learned is don't call them influencers.
Yeah.
They hate that.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because, talent, influencer, creator, it's, at the end of the day, these are trusted friends. Like there's so much change. The creator economy is growing so fast. And it's like, how do you leverage it? How do you harness it for your brand? How do you make it work? And not make it feel like, this is just not real.
What's your strategy on creators with Odyssey?
I mean, we have, and we talk about this in the creator effect is, we think that we have the original creators, that radio is a lot of the original creators, the storytellers that you listened to when you were driving to school.
Sure.
And now we've amplified that through podcasting. We've got some, big name podcasts, but we also have the Odyssey Creator Lab, which is a way for new podcasters to come and we're giving them an opportunity to get into the podcast space and to tell their stories. And so we look at, that there is an opportunity to help audio grow by putting more real voices and human voices out there.
Well, we're here at the ANA in Orlando. Is this do you come here every year? Is this
this is my first year?
Your first
This is
year?
my first year.
Oh my.
Yeah. Last year, Odyssey had a big presence and I saw all the pictures and it was really exciting and to see it, but it's even more exciting to be here in person.
What's your impression so far?
At the first 2 days, I was at the CMO Summit, and it was fascinating. I've met so many people. We actually went on Monday night and had dinner at Universal. So I also got to go on. I got to go on the Hulk ride with a couple other CMOs, which was really fun.
After dinner.
Well, here's the best part. So we finished dinner, and somebody said, "Should we go on the Hulk ride?" And we were like,
"Of course,
it's upside down. We just finished dinner. Like, is it gonna be okay?" It was so fun. We sat in the front row, then we sat in the back row. It was amazing.
Any famous brands you were with?
Yeah, with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like it was great. I have a great picture with a group from UNICEF and Visa and Aflac, and we all rode in the front row together. So yeah, it's been really fun. But I feel like the brands here are so impressive and it's so exciting to see what they're doing. Had an opportunity to meet the CMO of Stellantis, and that's been really
interesting company now.
Yeah, interesting company. And my background is actually I worked at on the agency side on the Dodge account a lifetime ago, but it was really fun to sort of hear what they're doing now and to compare that to what we were doing 25 years ago. So, but yeah, it's been amazing. And to hear the challenges that some of these brands are facing and the way that they're turning them into opportunities and to learn from the group of people here has been amazing. And it's been really fun.
What do you feel the zeitgeist is this year? Do you think people are confident? Do you think they're tentative?
I think that it's an interesting time. And I think that there's more optimism than I was expecting. And that was exciting to me. To sit yesterday in one of the sessions and to hear all of the things that are happening so quickly with measurement. And, the conversations around measurement have been really interesting. And some of the things that we face and that other brands in the room were facing, we're all in the same place and we're moving. And I think that as an industry, we're sort of moving in the right way together. And that was one of the big learnings, I think, for me, is that there's a lot of optimism, but even more than that, there's an opportunity for us to come together as brands, marketers,
Mm-hmm.
CMOs, and help define where we're going as an industry. And that's exciting.
Yeah. So beyond the Hulk ride,
Yeah.
are there any other people or conversations you've had so far here
Mhm.
which like stick out for you, stand out for you?
I think I think that the conversations around B2B have been really
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And I did go to the breakout session. So we
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of time to talk as a table, to talk as a group, and
And these were all B2B
all
marketers.
B2B
Mm-hmm.
marketers. And, I'm a B2B marketer, but I'm also a B2C marketer. And I think leaving that room, I think we all felt like we're a little bit of both, but there's some people that are hyper focused on B2B, and to hear how they're using thought leadership and insights to help propel their brand are things that I think we can continue to learn
Mm-hmm.
a lot from. And there were some really exciting conversations as part of that group.
Yeah. Well, that's a core mission of this meeting,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Is, we're not alone. Everyone's
Right.
struggling with a lot of the same issues, getting people together, sharing stories, sharing cases.
Mhm.
I mean, the main stage here is a series of case studies, and
Right.
they're really interesting.
Well, that was one thing that we keep hearing that over and over again. Like, as I've talked to people from the ANA, or the number one thing everyone is asking for is case studies and
Mhm.
tactics. Like, tell us
Yeah.
how you did
Right.
it, not
Yeah.
just what the results were, but what did you do
Yeah.
to drive those outcomes? And I think that's one of the things that the ANA is really good at. But just having the opportunity to brainstorm with people
Mhm.
has been great, because you can hear what worked for them and what didn't work for them. And I mean, I'm sure you get to hear this all the time and hear real life case studies about what's working for brands, and it's meaningful.
Yeah. And it's endlessly interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Really,
right.
every case is, and things change, right?
Hmm.
So now you're a strategic partner of the ANA,
We are.
right? And along with Amazon ads and TikTok and Meta, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And you're on stage tonight.
We are.
And it's a big stage. I mean,
Mhm.
there's like a couple thousand people in the audience.
Yeah.
So what's your message tonight? What are you saying? How are you handling that?
I mean, I think that our message is going to be around storytelling. We're going to have the Moth on stage tonight,
Mhm.
and as we introduce them, it's really about the power of storytelling and how Odyssey and audio are bringing great stories to life and creating conversations that can drive meaningful impact for brands.
I want to talk about your role, right? You've
Okay.
been at this company a long time.
Long time.
But you've been CMO for about 6 months,
I
so
have.
relatively new. And about the same time, a new CEO came in,
Mhm.
right, as part of a restructuring.
Mhm.
Lots of other new leaders came into the company. So I've been in that situation
Mhm.
a couple times in my career.
Mhm.
It's exciting
It is.
because it's a chance to reimagine yourself, the
Mhm.
company, the team,
Mhm.
and how you work. So could you talk a bit about this time in your career, relatively new in role
Mhm.
with a new team?
Mhm.
So talk about how you're coming together. What are you learning? How are you gelling?
So
What's it like
it's
as you're
interesting.
reimagining this
Yeah,
company, I'm sure?
We are. And, we do have a lot of new faces, but we also have a lot of people that have been with Odyssey for a long time. So I feel like we've got some new leadership, but I'm also surrounded by people who I've worked with for a long time.
Mhm.
And I've been with Odyssey for about 18 years. I started with Entercom.
Yep.
I've held a lot of different roles in the organization. The company has changed so significantly over the past 18 years. And, but because I've been here for so long and because I've had a lot of different roles, I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of different departments and a lot of different people. And I think that that's sort of helping shape where we're going, because I try and collaborate really closely with the local markets, with the people on the folks on the brand side, with the revenue team, with our local account executives, with our local sales management, our market managers, our podcast team, our digital team. And I think because I've worked with those team members for so long, it gives me an interesting perspective to be able to bring that all together in with a lot of voices being heard. And I'm hoping that, in bringing that together, we're able to not necessarily reimagine the brand, but slowly evolve it in a way that we're showcasing and really amplifying these iconic brands that we have in our local markets and with podcasts, and at the same time elevate the Odyssey name.
Where are you focused now? I mean, you're relatively new in role. You know the company very well. So, and you probably have some freedom to create the role and create the scope.
Yeah.
So how are you doing it? How are you approaching that?
I mean, my role for the last 5 years was really on the sales enablement side. And so one of the things that I have to do is sort of think with a marketing lens and not with a sales lens. And my team's very good at helping me do that and saying, take off your revenue hat and start thinking, and they've been amazing. But I think that a lot of what we're doing is really trying to focus on a lot of the brands that mean things to their local communities. And that local community could be a podcast community, and it could be fans of a sports team, and it could be radio station. But it's really about elevating the local brands and trying to amplify them and tell the stories about why our brands are so iconic, why they're so meaningful in the local communities, why that local talent is meaningful, the voices that we have on our podcast roster, and continue to elevate what we're doing in sports and news, because it means a lot to the communities that we're serving. But more than that, people love listening. And it's really fun to be able to work on things, that mean a lot to the fans.
So how are you going about setting up your team? What could others learn by what you're doing? What capabilities do you feel like you need to win to achieve what you just talked about, to finding the real fans of your various brands and properties, and be sure that you're growing them, you're delighting them. So how are you setting up your team? What could others learn from you?
So one of the really great things about having some new leadership in the organization is that they've come in with a fresh set of eyes and really have done a listening tour and talked to a lot of people and in the organization, outside of the organization, to figure out where we need to grow, what should we cut back on, how do we become better at what we're doing. And I got to be part of that listening tour, and it was interesting because for me, it was also a fresh set of eyes, even though I've been here for 18 years. And so as we had, in some ways, a pretty distinct digital business over here and a radio business over here. And I think that the fresh set of eyes has said, we need to be much more integrated. And so tonight I'm on stage with Leah Reese-Dennis, who's our head of podcasts. We're doing this together. And I think that we're today really working to be more unified, one Odyssey, and structuring the team so that we can support that. And I know that Kelly, our CEO, is really focused on being one team, one Odyssey. And I think we've made some pretty monumental moves to become one organization, rather than sort of separate teams. It feels like one place right now. And it's exciting.
I mean, culture is a big part, right? And there are parts of your culture, I'm sure, that are precious and you don't want to change. And there are parts that you're probably questioning based on the listening tour. So could you talk a bit about the culture you and the team are trying to create for Audacy going forward? Respecting from where I was at P&G for many years, and we were always going through this thinking, what do we hold sacred and what do we change? It's kind of an ongoing story. You're never really done. But how's that going right now?
I mean, I think that I started when we were Entercom, and Entercom was a really, I'd say, scrappy company. We all wore a lot of hats, and today we're much bigger. We operate in a lot of markets. We've got a pretty significant presence, but I think that scrappiness hasn't left us. And so when you say precious, I think that it is that sort of entrepreneurial attitude that is important at Odyssey. Whether you're, in Cleveland or San Francisco or Detroit or Philadelphia or New York, you run your business and there's an opportunity for you to be entrepreneurial, to think differently, but all do that with the sort of support of our team who's here to help you grow. And I think that sort of entrepreneurial spirit is something that it drives our culture, and it also holds us all accountable because we all have an owner's mindset. And I think you have to today to be successful.
Yeah. So where is your personal focus right now as you think about all the things you could do? Where are you hyper-focused?
It's really about articulating what makes Odyssey unapologetically Odyssey. And I think that putting the brand out in ways that are going to resonate with our fans, with our clients, with our local communities, and articulate what really makes us special. And I think that we've got incredible spoken word content. I think that we are the leader in sports radio, sports audio, and we've got amazing storytellers and brands.
Points of difference. Every great brand has points of difference.
Yeah, and I think that as an Odyssey brand, in some ways we're a house of brands, and the brands really matter. And so showcasing those and putting those on the stage, I think is more important than ever. And it's someplace that I'm really focused, that how do we get the creators, the local brands, the podcast brands out front and center, because that's what really resonates with our audiences.
We were talking about the NFL before we went live on this show. I mean, it's not that dissimilar.
Right. Yeah, I'm from San Francisco. I'm never wearing an NFL t-shirt, but I'm wearing a 49ers t-shirt. And I think that the same could be said about Odyssey is a great place to work. It's when somebody says, "What do you do?" I work for Odyssey. They're like, "Oh, I know that. I hear that." But if you say, "I listen to K-Rock," or people are like, "Wait, what? I grew up on K-Rock." So it's it matters. And I think my focus is really making sure that we're putting the right message out there about who we are, what makes us different, what makes us special, and why that matters to advertisers.
I didn't know you're making progress. I mean, if you look out 18 months, 24 months from now, 3 years, how do you know you're moving the needle?
I mean, growth. Number one is growth. As a company, we're hyper-focused on growing our business. And we have some KPIs for the marketing team, but I think ultimately, like, how are we growing as a company? And that's growth in audience, that's growth in revenue, that's growth in downloads. It's growth across the board. But I think that that's the number one driver of success. And if we can say that 18 months from now, we've grown all those metrics, then I think we're doing pretty good.
What do you love most about what you're doing?
The people. I feel really lucky to have such an opportunity to be creative with a group of super creative people that want to make a difference. And like, we all do this because we love it. And I wake up and I love my job. And I wouldn't be here 18 years if I didn't. But it's the people that make it work. And I mean, we're in the entertainment business. It's really fun.
Yeah. I noticed that you have a partnership relatively new with Mogul, the athlete influence platform with about 30,000 college athlete influencers. Tell us about that. Why did you do it? What are your hopes?
I mean, we talked a little bit about sports, but we are a big believer in expanding our sports as much as we possibly can. And this is a really good way to do it, and gives us more, I don't want to use the word influencers, but more talent to be able to tap into, that we can connect like-minded brands in a way that makes sense. And so this is a natural partnership, and we're exploring more of them.
Yeah. Where do you start? I mean, that's a big brief, right? Mogul's a big organization. It's a lot of athletes. How do you just get going? Partnerships are, you have to start working and figuring it out.
Somebody once said to me, "How do you eat an elephant?" And one bite at a time. I try and say that to my kids all the time when they're, one bite at a time. But it's really, putting the right messages out and getting it out in front of the right brands so that we can test, learn, improve, make it better, and continue growing.
I want to talk about your career path a bit. You referenced you've been at the company 18 years or so, but you were at BBDO.
I was.
In the late 90s and decided to go back to school, it seems, for MBA while you were still working.
I did.
Right. And you ended up switching to media
hmm
and have not looked back.
Right.
So take us back to that time. BBDO was like, the creative powerhouse.
Right.
In some ways they still are. So what was your thinking? Why did you choose to make that shift?
So I loved working on the agency side, and I learned so much. But I was on the account side, worked really closely with our clients and strategy, but I knew that I needed to understand media to really move forward and to grow my career. And so I had an opportunity at the time. It was Susquehanna Radio. I went over and I worked at Susquehanna Radio, and it was totally eye-opening experience. I think the first 2 weeks, I was
BBDO
like,
to Susquehanna Radio. It's quite
what
a shift.
what have I done? And then I began to really learn the business, and I love learning and trying new things. And I hope I'm not afraid of change. I kind of
Mhm.
like change, and so it was probably at the time really scary, but the best move I made, because I got to learn a whole nother side of the business that has been the trajectory of my career.
It's kind of prescient of you, right?
Mhm.
You jumped over to media before all of the stuff that we're now
Mhm.
living with started happening.
Well, and then
It's a great place to be.
I mean, it's just fun, right?
Yeah.
We
And relevant and growing.
and a way that I think what I didn't know at the time is, on the agency side, strategic and creative, and have an opportunity to build something. But on the media side, you get to do that too. And you're able to, very early in my career, putting together great ideas was one of the most fun things that I did. And I came at it with a marketing perspective, because I had this background. And now, 20 years later, I feel like I'm still working on strategy
Mhm.
and what are our objectives? What are we trying to solve for? How do we bring this all together? And it's been a fun ride. But I think it's because I've changed a lot and grown in that time by taking on new opportunities.
I want to flip to the creative brief.
Mhm.
So, what programs or shows over the course of your life you look back on and say, those were meaningful to me? They changed how I thought about something. They opened up my eyes to something. They entertained me in an unprecedented way.
Oh, that's such a great question. Um, like, on a personal note,
Mhm.
I think that um, one of the you said, what's the first thing you think of? The first thing that popped into my mind was The West Wing. And I remember watching that and thinking, I thought I wanted to go into politics when I was in college. I was a poli-sci English major, thought I wanted to go into politics. And when I watched The West Wing, I felt like I was part of it. But that type of storytelling, the way that they told stories, uh, really resonated. And by the way, I rewatched it a couple years ago, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah,
Right. Stands
yeah,
the test of time.
yeah. How about
So,
you?
oh, golly. I remember, gosh, like it's way back.
Yeah.
I remember just shows when I was young, The Man from U.N.C.L.E.,
Oh, yeah,
James Bond.
yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania,
Uh-huh,
and my world was pretty small.
uh-huh.
I went to Catholic school for 12 years.
Me too.
I did never really basically left my neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And to watch those shows, and they're probably all misogynist, all these things right now as you look back
Right.
at them. But I thought, wow, the world's bigger.
Yeah.
And I think it changed a bit of my aspirations. And then I read a book when I was in high school, early college, called North Toward Home. It was written by a guy from the South who moved to New York and
Uh-huh.
became a famous editor
Uh-huh.
of Harper's and so on. And I also thought, what a cool life.
Yeah.
To be with creative people, to be around ideas,
Uh-huh.
to be in a bigger city. So it's really his story about what it was like from small town to New York City and to
Mhm.
work in the media/magazine space. That also, I want a lifestyle like that.
Mhm.
So those stand out.
Right. And
You
sort of
know.
opened your eyes to what's
Yeah.
possible. Yeah.
But I was a big radio person way back, and I still am.
Mhm.
I still get up in the morning and begin with NPR.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing something. I'm obviously an avid podcast listener.
Mhm.
Probably 20 shows I bounce in and out of.
Uh-huh.
And some of them, when I miss them, I feel like I'm behind.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's funny. Like there's so much content out there. There's so much
great
great
content.
content
Yeah.
out there right now. And, sometimes I think, oh, what about that?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I'm the same way. I have like my
It
3 to
depends.
5 like constants,
Right.
and then I bounce around.
Yeah. I like to also have a variety. So when my mood's different,
Uh-huh.
we were talking about Amy Poehler before
Yeah.
we came on.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if I just need a break,
Right.
listen to that. But if I really run, I listen to The Economist every day.
Uh-huh.
That can be heavy.
Yep.
So, but I kind of try to flip it around so I'm not just immersed in
Right.
business news or
Yes.
politics.
Right.
Or, I
Right.
think the
You
portfolio
need a
is.
little fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you like live events too.
I
I've seen a
do.
lot of that
Mhm.
on your social feed. So all the events you've been to live,
Mhm.
which one was most memorable?
Wow, that's a great question. So we do a big event called We Can Survive in New York. And last year I brought both of my daughters, and it was really special because, you know, your kids don't often think you're cool. And I think my kids thought I was cool. But just being there in the audience and looking around at, you know, thousands and thousands of people watching an artist up on stage with the Odyssey logo and our local brand logos and,
Right.
and thinking and having my, at the time 17 and 19-year-old on either side of me. It was great. And now I promised my son that he gets the next event.
Right.
But it was special because it was I was a proud mom, but I was also a proud marketer, and I was proud to work for this company that like brought these people together. And just watching, when people hold up their phones and they're all doing it at the same time, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Michael Jordan's last game
Oh,
with my son and my nieces and nephews and
Yeah.
my brother. And that was very special.
yeah. Yeah.
It was in Philadelphia, and Allen Iverson was also on the court. So
Oh,
it was
wow.
great.
Yeah, I mean, I'd also say I love the Olympics, and when I was in college, I was studying abroad, and I went to the Lillehammer Olympics, and that was like I looked at that and I was like, I want to go as often as I can because you see these, I mean, at the time you don't realize they're kids, but you see like these young athletes doing what they love at the absolute highest level, and it's amazing.
We have LA around the corner.
Yeah, we do. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah. So, initiative or campaign in your career that you think about as something that was extra special, extra meaningful to you, something you worked on?
I mean, I think the Odyssey brand launch. It was Paul, who was our CMO at the time, led the effort, and it was so exciting to be a part of something like that, where it was just massive. I mean, imagine everything from like the logo changes to just putting it out in the market, the consumer campaign, the business to business campaign. It was so fun to be part of and to feel like I had a voice in it, and now to be able to continue to elevate that, 5 years later, I think 4 years later. But it was really exciting, but it was also exciting because I felt like I was there from the ground up, like working with the creative team and being able to have opinions and be part of the focus groups and then help evolve that to where we are today, where it's really sort of the umbrella for all of the iconic brands that we have locally. It's pretty cool.
And you're on the big stage tonight.
Yeah,
with the
I know,
ANA.
I know. We're gonna have a great video
Yeah.
too. I'm excited.
Okay.
You're gonna like it. You're gonna like it.
I'll be there up front. So the first brand you remember making an impact on you as a young girl?
I love advertising that makes you feel like the Nike, where you see these athletes doing amazing things. or Gillette, The Best a Man Can
Mm-hmm.
Get, where the dad and son are like shaving together. Like I remember those, but I think the first moment that I knew that advertising worked was I was like 7 or 8. I was in the grocery store. My mom was like, go get some bread. And so I ran to the bread aisle and I came back with English muffins, Thomas's English muffins.
Yeah.
And my mom said, why did you get English muffins? And I said, because of the nooks and crannies. And I was like, advertising.
That's good. Yeah.
Advertising.
Yeah.
So, and I think about that often.
I wonder if they're still advertising that. They should be.
I don't know if they are, but I still buy Thomas's English muffins. And I do think they taste better because of the nooks and crannies.
Yeah. Well, it's fall. They have the pumpkin flavor ones now, which are great.
I'm not sure I'm going that far.
Who has been the most inspiring person in your life?
I've really been lucky to have a lot of amazing mentors, professionally and personally, and coaches. And but without a doubt, my mom. Like she was a teacher, and she passed away about 5 years ago. But there isn't a moment like tonight when I get on stage, and I'm probably going to be a little nervous talking in front of everybody. I'm going to think about my mom and the confidence that she instilled in me my whole life. So, she was amazing. And
what did she teach?
She taught, she was the preschool director for a very long time. And then she retired. And my sister's also a teacher. And my sister had just graduated from college and went and was teaching, I think, second grade at the time. And my mom went back and taught second grade. And she was an amazing teacher to me, to all the students that she touched. But she was my mentor, my coach, my biggest fan, my biggest critic. I'm here because of her. Like, I think she'd be really proud.
Sure she would.
And especially my kids. That's my greatest achievement.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to end with a question that Bob Leodis, who's the CEO of the ANA, always asks on stage after a speaker speaks. I'm sure he asked it of all the speakers today. He always asks, what's the one thing you're going to do when you go back to your office? Now, I'm going to twist that a little bit. So I'm going to say, what's the one thing that this conversation made you think about as you return to work and go back to your team?
Number one, appreciation for them, because as we've talked and, even walking around the ANAs, I'm really lucky to be surrounded by amazing people that care a great deal. But I think also that we need to be fearless and unapologetically Odyssey and, think about the way that we go to market, and not be afraid. Like, let's go test things and break things and be creative, because that's what works. It's not staying in the lane. It's being unafraid to try something new, to be creative, to be bold. And I think that's where we're going, and I want to do more of it.
It's a great way to end, Jenny. I love that thought.
Thank you.
That's the only way to play, right? Because it's more fun.
It's more fun.
You'll have more impact. Your team will remember this experience. They'll want to stay a part of it.
Well, I think about the most important or pivotal moments in my career, or even, in my life. And it's always been when I took the risk. So I hope we can do more of it.
Love it. Well, thank you for this gift.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Yeah, for me too.
It was great. It was great. I'd love to be back in 18 months when we've grown.
Okay, very good. You'll come back on the show.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks.